New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment. Inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Hello and welcome to Growing Edge Live. I'm Allie Benjamin, and it is a great joy to be here today with you. Wherever you're watching from, whether you're here for the first time or you're back for more, I'm so glad that you're here, and welcome to Growing Edge Live. Here we talk to interesting individuals from all walks of life that are channeling their time, their talent, their energy, their love, their resources, their creativity into doing good work in the world. And so all of my guests, every single one of them, are making a positive impact on this planet. And I trust that this podcast, this show, is doing the same. So thank you for being here today. And I have a guest today that is one of my greatest friends. I met Robin years ago when I moved from Southern California, from where was I living? I think I was in Laguna Niguel or Laguna Beach or something around that area. And I moved to Big Bear Lake, and I was newly divorced from my first husband, and I moved to the mountains. I thought it would be a great place to raise my children. They were 2, 4, and 5 at that time. And as a single mother, I looked for to make friends and connections. And Robin and some of her extended family, we had children at the same age that went to the same schools. And so Robin Bradley, welcome to Growing Edge Live.
Hello, Allie. So glad to be here, and looking forward to seeing what transpires between us.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I'm excited to see where it goes, because for decades now, Julie is saying hi to Dr. Robin.
Hi, Julie.
For years, we've had so many conversations. We've had personal connections and hikes and talks about, what's going on in our lives. And then we've had children, especially my children, that you have supported them. You are a psychologist, along with a lot of other things we'll dive into. And so you have worked with my family, with my children, especially my youngest, Chris, when he went through a very serious health crisis. And you have always been a presence of light and love, not only in my family. I'm feeling emotional right now as I'm saying this, because I know that you've touched so many people's lives. And you've made such a difference in helping people go through some really big challenges. And I know that hasn't ended for you. You're still doing that decades later, even more so. So I'm so glad that you're here. It means the world to me to share my audience with you and share you with my audience. And I'm looking forward to diving in and sharing you in a very big way. So thank you for being here. Yeah.
Okay, well, my heart's this big now. I really appreciate that introduction. And I truly am so honored to be here and to have this, what I'm framing it as, is this sacred conversation. And I was so excited to do this, and, purposely thankfully didn't put anything out in the media. And then my husband did.
That's good. Thank you,
I
Joan.
said, okay, yes. Okay, thank you. That's good. But anyway, so this is just very special. So my honor in being here, and I kind of want to start right in with some of who I am, is just I love to start at the moment of right here, right now, you and I together, and frankly, with who's ever watching here. This has never happened ever before in the history of humankind. These moments have never happened. And so we have an opportunity here to just see what transpires in what I call my extraordinary, ordinary life, this life that we're sharing. And as you know well, my sort of guiding light throughout my life is the power of love. And so as I read even your introduction to your show, it's like, oh, perfect fit. Here we are, which I already knew. But so my hope is to just bring the power of love into presence. And that is kind of my current work, which I know we'll get to a little bit later, but is really about showing up in what I call Only Love Now and bringing that into presence in life. And that's what we've been doing here over these 20, 30, 40, however, how many. We get doing this, right? So anyway, so I'm grateful to be here and get excited about what we're bringing and just the gift of life and the gift of love that we're sharing, and a little bit of, why it's so important now in the world. Always has been, but the fires get hotter and it's like, yeah, we need more love. And I will explain more of that as we go along, because my journey has been a lot about really trying to live that in the complexity of life, and the challenges of life. And yeah, it's a good story.
Good. We're grounded in love, and we're here at the very growing edge of our own evolution. And that only happens in the now moment. And so we're tracking, and we are in the same heart set and mindset and consciousness of only love now.
Yeah. And I thought of growing edge this morning. Yeah, she's pushing my edge again. That line here. So.
Right. Well, I'm interested to dive in, because you are a very private person. I mean, you're very out there in the fields and the spaces that you're called or invited into. But my producer was looking for, well, how can I find out more about this woman? And there was nothing out there on the internet about you. So I know that there's a part of you that is sort of, hidden a bit. But I want to get into, who are you and where did you grow up? And, you are who you are today, but there was a lot before. I want to dive into that a bit. So where were you born, and what was your childhood like?
Okay. So in preparation for coming, I had looked at a couple other interviews you did and said, oh my goodness, okay, let me get my life scope here. It's important. And I wanted to actually just share what happened when I did that, because my journey very much right now, what I'm putting out in public, I call Only Love and the Treasured Life. And it's how we live life from the perspective of treasuring and loving. And for lots of people, that means a lot of rewriting your story, because we've been in a generation or two of looking at more of the shadows and the dark side and whatnot. And so anyway, the treasured life perspective. And then as I started, moving along, kind of a little timeline, what I realized, which is very much me, and I kind of would invite people to do this, is if you get a piece of paper and you start a little timeline and you put kind of birth over here and, now over here, and basically create a line on the top and a line on the bottom, and then a space in the middle. And Allie, you disappeared on me, but I'm anyway. So that's okay. And basically, if you were to plot your life on that bottom line with sort of the challenges the challenges and the the hot spots of things that were difficult in your life. And if you were to plot the top line with sort of the great memories and the treasures of life, and then on the same timeline, and then kind of look at the middle, and what you're going to see is some of our greatest treasures are happening at the same time as our greatest challenges. And I think that's an important message for now and now and now and now. I always use now and now and now because we're living now. But yeah, there's a lot going on. And so as I was doing this time, my attention again was drawn to the middle because the story of the treasured life that I wanted to tell was kind of there. It was in the middle. And so what's in the middle to me is our core. And how did our love show up? How were we guided through these high points and low points in life, difficulties and struggles through our core? And so as I started to look there all the way back to childhood, I started with the childhood, but then I saw sort of repeating themes. So
how usual.
Yeah, across the decades and so forth. And so anyway, so the theme coming in at the treasured life of childhood was I was born in Southern California girl, suburbs, working class, lovely family, 4 children, mom and dad. And delightful to see a childhood friend pop up earlier who we were cheerleaders together. Song leaders, actually. We did a lot of dancing. And I know I have some other friends out there from the past. And so really the treasured story of childhood, my favorite way to say it was I grew up outside. We had a home that was a farmhouse from the area. It was like an orange grove farmhouse in a cul-de-sac. So we had the yard. And what was really beautiful there, and you know how much I love nature, is even though we were in the suburbs and we were in a little cul-de-sac and it was the dead end street, we called it, where all the kids, we played ditch it and baseball in the street and so forth. But our yard was, when we bought it, when I was 7 years old, starting there, when we bought it, the prior owners had turned it into like an arboretum, with amazing plants from around the world. And they even had nameplates and,
Wow.
and it was grown up, so there were trees and flowers and rhododendrons and guava trees and bougainvillea and big trees, a big old oak, a hickory oak, and a big one over the driveway, and gardenias that grew, and camellias. Yeah. Anyway, is that the right word? Yeah. Anyway, so I was a kid that roamed around the yard all the time. And having 3 brothers, we were all outside. And I used to tease it was because I had a teenage mother. And she said, you'd wake up in the morning and eat your breakfast. It's like, get outside. So the beauty of being outside. And so I kind of started with, this core of my being starts with family love, and sweet moments of, my mom was very orderly, and, we took baths at the same time and sat on the couch and we got a half-hour TV, and then we took turns holding the dog. And my dog was my greatest friend. We played hide and seek, a lot. Anyway, so a lot of lovely time there in a neighborhood. You walk to school with the gang of kids and home and whatnot. And then teenage years, moving ahead. So where was I going? It was family love, nature, and reading. I read all the time. And
what kind of books were you interested in as a child?
Well, childhood, good old Nancy Drew. And then very early, though, it moved into spirituality type books, which was another part of my journey. And so as I moved more into my middle and early teen years, my mom had a little secret cupboard where she kept books that she wasn't sure my dad would want me to read. And my dad was a wonderful, optimistic, loving man, but he had his perspective. And so anyway, but so I read books on spirituality very young, and I learned yoga and meditation through books and television, like very, very, very early teens, and really was on a spiritual path very young. And then my story that anyone from my high school would know is, and then there was Joe. I met my husband on my 15th birthday. He crashed my 15th birthday. And then the story goes from there. But we were very much in love. Very, we really believed we were soulmates and planned to meet up early and so forth. And so we did. In fact, we have a great memory of like 6 years after we were married, he brought up the first time he saw me in the library. And I was like, was that you? I didn't know that was you. But,
what was he doing?
Well, we had a moment. It really was interesting because we had a moment, and I was just a freshman. And, so I might've been 14 at the time, but we had a moment where I could feel someone looking at me, and I looked up and looked across the room, and we caught eyes, and there was kind of this funny light coming in the library, and we had this moment. And, anyway, and then, he moved on. I didn't know who it was. So 6 years after we were married, he says that was our connection moment, but anyway, so moving ahead, because I don't, so my husband was a huge part. So as I was doing my timeline, it's like, well, I had 15 years of sort of childhood. A lot happened, actually. And again, the good and the bad. There was a lot going on during childhood years too. And then my husband, we got together at 15. And then I was looking sort of at the timeline. We got married at 8. I was 18. He was 20. But I was already almost through college at that point. I was really a learner, and I went to college at 16, and I just was always learning. And anyway, we had our first son in 85. So we had, a good 10 plus years of, being in love and really just exploring life from that point, and growing up and going to college and being excited. And, and moving out of state and going to graduate school. And,
you came to Utah, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We came to Logan, Utah, where, and so where I was going back to the themes, the family. So Joe became my family very strongly, even though there's, of course, just other families still there. Nature was what we did. We got married, we fixed up an old car, and we went to the Sierras. We started hiking, and we went to Yosemite, and then so between the mountains and the beach, we were back and forth all the time. And then, of course, when we went to Utah, we had mountains and snow, and we rode bikes all the time. Biking was always a big deal too. So anyway, always that. And so anyway, if I zoom ahead, all of this runs through all my years. Family, nature, relationships, outdoors, adventures, and so forth. And then the other theme, coming back to more, was that really the early spirituality is really significant to who I am now, and what I did along the way. And part of that was because I did get into meditation very early, and I had amazing experiences that were out of the norm. And the biggest one being when I was 18, there were numerous small ones of really having amazing love and amazing moments in my meditations. And then when I was 18, I had what was called a radical Kundalini awakening. Mm-hmm. And I knew what it was because I had read some things, but it was so far out of the realm of anything normal at that point in time that it was enormous. And why it's important is it's such a process, and in brief, it was an extreme physiological process for me. This energy that arose in me, and within moments, I was sweating and I literally threw off my clothes. I was soaked. My pajamas were soaked. And, it was this very, very physiological moment where light moved up through my body and sound. And there was this explosion of light. And I was sitting in this chair, kind of wishing I was in front of my mirror so I could see if this was outside of me or inside of me. It was so tangible. So anyway, why that was so important, and again, right before I got married, is it stayed with me, and it stayed with me through graduate school. And I would, be brave enough to ask professors if they knew anything about it, maybe now and then. And I studied neuropsychology because it was very tangibly, I could feel the energy in my brain, in my head. There was a lot going on. So anyway, that got quiet for a while because there was nobody to talk to about that at that point in time. But it resurfaced years later with my energy work and with my understanding and meditation processes and so forth. So anyway, that was significant. And I know we're moving along in time here. So just to my timeline for a moment, I just want to, it was sort of like, there's the family, then there's Joe, then there was the family of 4, which is when I met you during that period, which was like a 20-year span, 25-year span of, which we'll get to more of what I did. But I look at that again, the highs and the lows. Truthfully, there were a lot of challenges during those times. My dad got very ill. And my mom had a hard time, and finances, and, lots of challenges that were part of what led me into deeper and deeper work on how do we heal. And then, of course, during that time period, I was raising my own children, but I was also working in community mental health. I was initially I had always worked with children to some degree, but then I was also in kind of severe mental health. So I was really getting to see the extreme challenges that people go through. And anyway, then branched from there during that time of raising kids. Again, there's the family and the nature and the sports and the, raising boys and all of that good stuff. And then there was, community mental health, and I began the Women of Wisdom retreats, and at the same time period, shaman training and multicultural explorations and energy work. And, all of it began to move together. And anyway, then just kind of quickly, we went from a family of 4 to a family of 6 to a family of 10. And, the joys of that just keep growing. And so in each of those categories that I was sort of writing here, there was a good bit of work that went with it that I see was not only my work, but it was paralleling what was going on in the world. Because of course I'm working with people all the time. And so the challenges that people were going through, for example, when we moved into, 2008 and financial crises and losing homes and high anxiety and those things, but so all through the time period, there was a lot going on. And I had the blessing, I look at my honor, truthfully, there goes my emotion, but to work with so many amazing people, so many amazing people on the journey of life, going through, life and deaths and very difficult times. And, my great honor, was to sit with people with as much love as possible, with profound love, as much love as possible, and be a place of memory, reminder that love is within us all the time. And more and more and more as it progressed in my own knowledge, this love is amazing, and it is the source of all creation in my world. But it's so amazing in the way we are designed. So we are designed not only with this core love within us, but we are designed with a physical system that can handle everything and help us take action, immense physical system. And that's come into focus in the recent years with health and, what's been going on in the world, and a greater understanding of what I call somatic intelligence, body intelligence, how to heal traumas physically from the ground up. So anyway, but we have that system. We have this amazing emotional system. That, of course, was very key in those child rearing years of community work, how to help people navigate emotions. And my mode was as simply and painlessly as possible, so I developed these methods of, presence and feel it for a few seconds and breathe and, moving through emotions. And that resulted in these shifts that were created, So anyway, some of this, again, I know I'll share a little more in detail, but what I called it, it was like initially my work I called loving integrity, really about how do we come into wholeness with our love. And then it moved into kind of loving life and really bringing that into life. And then I always had a higher consciousness group going also. So my women's groups that I created, that Women of Wisdom was part of that, but I had weekly groups happening also, monthly, weekly groups, and meditation groups that I was a part of. And I forgot to mention, part of my core again was friendships, and my dear friends along the way that we developed meditation groups. Yes, Gina, hi. And but these so core to staying in core, family and friends and so forth. Anyway, so the avalanche theory of our loving integrity is a little more specific way of how do we navigate challenges. And that leads more into where now I'm moving it into meditation programs and really deep healing programs where we can go to the core of love, then lay down for 30 minutes and take that love to every part of our body and every part of our being. And really magnify that love, and then sit up again and bring it into our highest creativity and our greatest visions and so forth before we walk out in the world again. So
I just love hearing how you've put all of your life together and woven it all with the challenges and the great joys, and how all of that is so important in terms of who we are and how we develop and what we focus our energy and attention to based on those highs and lows. And I think it's a great, it's powerful to be able to look back. I remember working together, and we worked together on the Women of Wisdom. We did that process of the timeline, and I think we drew a tree, and we put on the tree all of the different, or at least I drew a tree, all the different things, all the different events, the highs and lows and the significance. And so hearing you share yours, and I'm feeling it's very similar to mine. I mean, very different. I grew up in England, but I too grew up in the outside. I'd leave in the morning and come back in the evening, and I was an only child, so I was out in nature all day too. And so I can see, based on our childhood experiences, why we've, kept connecting or being attracted to one another's energy. I'd love to know, before we go on a break, based on all of that we've just heard, would you say is your purpose? What is your purpose now as you're here on the green growing edge of your own becoming, and you've done all this work? You've been so, love has been such a core and central and foundational theme in not only your life, but in your healing practices and your, the work you do in the world. So what is your purpose currently?
So truthfully, I summarize it all the time as only love now. And I'll share more of this after the break if need be. But I began a very powerful process when I was about 31, and I had already been meditating, a lot of years, but this became sort of a writing, channeling, what I call talking to God kind of process, and and it's been literally daily for 35 years. I estimate a minimum hour a day over all of these years, and so it's a meditation, it's a writing, but it was always a dialogue, so it was always initially asking questions. How do I help people heal? How do I, so forth. So the questions were different along the way, but really, truthfully, the similarity is, how do I be in my highest potential, which is only love now, and assist others in being there, and really having the experience, this purpose of really knowing the deep love that you already are, knowing the deep love that you already are, and accessing that through all of your intelligence systems. That's a model that I use, including spiritual intelligence, which is kind of a new terminology coming forward. Anyway, so am I saying it succinctly? It really is only love now. And so it's bringing what I call only love, is the love and the awe of the universal presence of love that we are, that resides right within us, into the now moment. And
Perfect.
showing up in the now
All
moment.
Right.
It's
that's
love.
it. That's where we're going to start when we come back from our break. We'll take a short break and be right back.
Great. Thank you.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, thesatyacenter, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Welcome to Science of Mind Archives, your gateway to spiritual wisdom. Join us for our grand opening gala. Experience a weekend of inspiration. Enjoy a ribbon-cutting ceremony, a gala dinner and workshops, plus a labyrinth walk and town hall. Connect with a community of seekers. Explore spiritual teachings and resources. Find your path to personal growth. Join us from April 24th to 27th. Lodging options are still available. Visit our website www.scienceofmindarchives.com for more details. Please RSVP by March 15th. Featuring Reverend Jesse Jennings, musical inspirations with Karen Drucker, and the spirit of Ernest Holmes. Come celebrate our new home at Unity Village, Lee's Summit, Missouri, and please visit www.scienceofmindarchives.com.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
We're back with my friend Robin Bradley, and you just shared a beautiful story of your entire life, and so many pearls of wisdom you uttered during that story that I could go off in a million different directions. But I asked you, what is your purpose? And you talk about the work you do, not only yourself in meditation and connecting and having a conversation with God, the divine, the universe, and how you teach others to have their own experience of bringing love and the love's awareness or love's presence into everything, the body, out through them into the world. And you talked about emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence that I'm excited to hear a bit more about. So when you're doing this work now, currently, and you just finished a lengthy couple of meditation programs online, or it was texts that we got to listen to, and so you've been doing this very frequently, not just in your own practice there in Big Bear, but online to the greater community. So what's been the experience for you as you've been helping people to understand the incredible importance and power of working with this, with love, only love now, and bringing it into their bodies and developing themselves more deeply so that other people can find more joy and connection and meaning and their purpose in life. So how has that been for you?
Good question. So obviously it's what I love. So I keep doing it. And I do this through coaching, individuals, and I'm leaning, more into groups again and into online programs and groups because the message needs to move out more. But basically, I feel just so incredibly blessed that it's like, to me, it's the greatest gift. I get to work within this realm of what to me is the core of the best of humanity. And what I run into, so what you were talking about, November and December, I did daily text meditation messages to a group of about 60, is what it came down to. And I did it very cut and paste and, individualized. What was interesting as I started it was like, whoa, I could feel the group energy. I could really feel the group energy. And so that's just a taste of, so my purpose personally has always been, and I'm going to move it into work, is we share, who we are, whether we like it or not. We share the consciousness of who we are. We share the presence of who we are all the time. And the more I understand the current knowledge of the brain and how we get hijacked, people get hijacked into what's called the DMN mind, and the focus on negativity and the focus on the past, and get stuck in sort of the shadow emotions, that there's this other possibility that we don't have to do that. We can make the internal shift to go, wow, and here's this incredible, amazing person in front of me, and there are these opportunities and these ways to grow. And so to me, I still find some people reacting to, meditation as if you're not doing anything. And the reality of, taking those moments to shift you into the greatest person you can be, and then walk into the world and do whatever you're going to do, in a way that's clearer, more empowered, that's always been my focus. It's that this enlightenment in everyday life is the journey that we're all on, So how do we bring our best? And it's very real to me in terms of family, because now I have 4 incredible grandchildren, and it means so much to me. And watching my adult children move through those years that we were talking about, and seeing their, daily struggles and whatnot, and how amazing they are in their work in the world. I have 4 doctor adults out there doing good work,
Awesome.
and their wives, and then incredible babies. And so there are the joys of all of that. And then I guess I think of it as, what's your love legacy? So are you showing up in the immediacy of what's in your life, your family, and are you enjoying the incredible day, and the nature? Love, Earth, Heal is another one of my passions. I believe we heal the environmental earth, the consciousness of the earth, the health of the earth, again, through our gratitude, through our love, through our presence, walking in gratitude in the forest. And one of my elder Native American friends said, when you step in the forest, the trees on the other side know you've arrived. It's a consciousness, it's a biome, So there's so much, to me at this point in life, so much more to explore about all of those areas we've talked about. So I mean, to me, how do we heal the earth is an enormous one. But moving right up, emotions. Honestly, one of the greatest gifts you can give your family and loved ones is know how to shift your emotions, know how to emotionally regulate, is what they call it, and be able to, embrace the emotions that your system is showing you for a reason. They're up for a reason. If you bring them through love and bring them through your heart, they will transmute into energy and passion and focus that you will be able to take into your life. So each, the reason why I'm moving into some of these meditation programs also is because the chakra system design and the body system design help us move through each of those intelligences when we understand it, provides a framework. So anyway, each intelligence we could master, so to speak, and learn more of, and we're going to function better. We're going to do better work in the world. And ultimately, like when we get to, I'm going to just kind of do this quickly. So body intelligence, emotional intelligence. The next level is where it's our self-perception, our identity, our ability to go introspective, intrapersonal, and really understand who we are and what's going on and why, so that, again, this incredible design that we have can help us come back to core, back to center, and we can take our best outward. And then that moves into heart and how we do that in relationships. And then it moves into throat and how we bring it through our voice, and then through our vision. And our vision and our crown, top of the head, are where now we're balanced and we're showing up in our mastery. But there's a lot of work to do in the world. There's a lot of good to happen. There's a lot of joy to be had. So even though the meditations are called things like being love, being joy, being bliss, being harmony, being unity, each of the, truthfully, and that's where we can drop into a little science if you'd like, but where we shift our brain, we shift our consciousness, we shift our body every time we experience. So literally what I love in modern neurology is that it's now accepted that every experience changes us. Every experience grows our brain. So how are you growing it? Are you growing it by perseverating in the past and focusing on negativity? Are you growing it through these experiences of possibilities, states that we can engage in peak experiences, high joys, anyway, amazing things. And then you have children there that are like, Nani, all the time, and excelling in sports at 5 years old. And, I'm going to go skiing with them this afternoon, and they've already passed me up. Anyway, so am I getting to, so my experience is that people are amazing. And I did want to say one more thing. part of this love journey, I mean, I've got every day I focus and refocus and center and make sure I'm clear as I go into the world. And that's my practice. But across, 25, 35 years, I've developed my own methods. I've gone to thousands of workshops. I love learning. I've learned so many methods of how to help people heal. And honestly, my experience, all of them might help you get to the place where you need to make the shift, but love shifts. Love makes the shift. Your core, your love, that in your connection with a greater love, the universal love, that's where we transform, and that's where we move into our greatest potential. So anyway.
Yeah, so we were talking a little while ago about all of this.
Yeah.
And as we usually do, it seems like our conversations always sound a little similar to this one. You mentioned a term that I hadn't heard. I've obviously heard about IQ and emotional intelligence. And you talked about SQ, spiritual intelligence. And I know it's really important to you to understand these concepts, these spiritual concepts, through the scientific lens. And so you do talk about neuroscience and understanding how we're building our brain and creating new neural pathways so that we can, stop believing some of the old thoughts and beliefs or stories that we, the darker memories sort of bubble up for us. And so what's SQ, and how do we understand this as a way of creating new neural pathways or developing a more love-focused, seeing through a more love-focused lens in our daily lives?
Yes. So I'm going to throw one more term out, which I'm just going to call it the LQ for a moment, which is the love quotient. And I do believe that that's the core organizing system for all of our other systems, our intelligence. So the term SQ, spiritual intelligence, was really just sort of coined officially by a man named Dawson Church. And he's bringing out a book that's actually coming out May 1st called Spiritual Intelligence. And it's about, I like to read his, it's basically about how our individual consciousness connects with a consciousness greater than ours. And so the neuroscience part that's important, like right now, right to the minute, is that there is advanced like brain imaging that has allowed this research to happen that actually shows which parts of the brain sort of light up when they actually are studying like master meditators and finding that the most rapid way to grow these brain circuits is through love, compassion-based meditations, So anyway, so the gist of it is by studying this, they found there are 4 unique circuits that are different from emotional intelligence, that are different from our regular IQ, so to speak. And so those differentiations are made. And the 4 areas that seem to be lighting up, connecting, number 1 listed is emotional regulation. So again, that is part of all my programs because that's just how it developed, but that is developing part of our spiritual intelligence. The next one is focus, attention, focus, and the ability to be on task and focus, which of course meditation develops and other things do as well. But by being on task, we tend to quiet down the part of the mind that tends to perseverate in the past, basically. That's part of that. The self-in-control one, that's the one that I'm most interested in seeing where that's going. But I believe they're talking about it as it's a part of us. So I'm kind of putting it up here, higher consciousness, a part of us that quiets down, again, the perseverating parts of the brain and the negativity and the looking at the past to allow us to open to new possibilities and to connect with others in a broader realm. Quickest way to get there is awe,
Mm-hmm.
connect with awe, and so forth. And then the fourth one is empathy. So again, our love and connection and our abilities to love and connect are there. And actually, I know we're running out of time.
Could we do a little, can you lead us through maybe just like a 3 or 4 minutes with that? Can you do something? Okay.
Let's just do a little process of anyone can join us here. And this is how easy it is just let's start for a minute and just breathe. Excellent. And intentionally, as you're breathing, go to the heart, open the heart. A group called Heart Math does this part as well. Excellent. Right now, as you go to the heart, just kind of breathe the word free. I get to be free. I choose to be free. I open to the freedom to be who I am. Excellent. I open to the love in my core, to the love that I am. I open to enough already. Excellent. I choose to be free of any past history of limiting my enoughness. Excellent. Excellent. Got it. And I'm opening to already. So as we open here, we're going to open to love in a very vast way. So open your heart and then kind of feel your alignment. Open your head to the heavens, feet to the earth. I do like to use the tree image here. Branches up, roots to the earth. You're grounded. Excellent. You're grounded. You're present. The freedom of sort of taking your time and space to move anything in it, anyone else out for these precious moments. This is a time of sacred conversation with yourself. I choose. I choose to be free. I choose to breathe and be the love that I am. I choose to open to the universal love, to the great love. And as we do that for a moment, just allow your expansiveness. Actually, let the light within your heart, if you imagine it like a diamond for a moment, and bring some light to it and let it shine. We're calling forward your clear, pure essence, allowing it to be here right now and to open. And as the light within you shines, just sort of watch how it shines out through every cell in your being. And as you do that, I call it the miracle in your molecules wakes up. Open your heart and shine your brilliance, your light. But know that every cell, every molecule within your being has access to this universal energy of love. And it is intelligent beyond words. You are already designed with the ability to access this incredible potential. So as you call it forward with your breath, we already sort of opened the head to the heavens. Just receive. Just open your heart to being here now, being and breathing the love that you are, and feeling it throughout your body, through your embodiment. That's the now part, being here now. being love now, being present now, in the joy, in the peace, maybe in your body. And then up to the head for a moment, let's just open to awe. How amazing, how awesome is it that we get to live this incredible life, that we get to share with incredible people, that we get to create through our actions the life that we're living. And as you feel that awe, let it expand again. And I think what I'd like for this moment, for anybody listening, just move out the cultural paradigm or your personal paradigm of not enough, and open to enough already. Enough already. Love is enough. There's always enough love, and love is always enough. So that's one of my favorite sayings. There's always enough love. Love is always enough. And another one from my meditations is that each of us, so take into your heart right now, that you are an incredible treasure beyond measure. You're an incredible treasure beyond measure. You are designed in an incredible way with all of the gifts you need to navigate your life. I call those the gems. You get to be you. As an incredible treasure beyond measure and a great pleasure. Thank you for being you.
Thank you, Robin. That was beautiful. Oh, I'm just all glowing and tingling with this feeling of, the real presence of who I am and who we all are as love personified, and love experiencing, and love circulating. And thank you for that meditation. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So in the future, let's do that for an hour. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, we're right at the end, and I have so enjoyed having this long, deep dive with you and sharing you with my audience. And thank you so much for being here today. I know that this recording, this video, this podcast will go out and touch so many lives and really cause a ripple and a tsunami of love through consciousness. So thanks again, Robin.
Thank you, Allie.
Yeah, take care. And everyone, thank you for being here today. I know you've enjoyed this as much as I have, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Peace and blessings here from the Growing Edge. Mwah. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, on the growing edge.